Chapter 7. Am I falling for him? The next morning, I arrive early. I want to spend as much of the day with Erik as possible. I don't know when I will see him again. I leave tonight on a plane for Minneapolis. Despite the early hour, there's already a line that extends outside the processing room. It turns out that on busy days, people line up at 5:30 in the morning to visit by 9. It takes me over an hour to get in. When I reach the visiting room, Erik is already there. He hugs me passionately. He lifts me into the air until my face is inches from his. A chill of panic sweeps through me. He's going to kiss me, in front of everyone. But then I'm back on my feet. Erik is bubbling with energy. We spent all morning walking in slow laps around the room, sharing pieces of our lives. I am content to let him do most of the talking. He carefully peels layers from me with gentle questions that gradually cut into the heart of my truths. Subjects range from astronomy to his favorite tree on a hill beyond the walls, from spiritually and his growing belief in reincarnation to my childhood years and my experience with flying spirits. We let ourselves flow through each other, our thoughts and interests being our only guides. As before, subtler currents move between us, as if an invisible hand is sewing our souls together with a golden thread. I miss Erik, even before I step onto the plane bound for Minneapolis. More than this, I realize how very lonely I am. I was excited to fly to Sacramento. I'm sad to leave. Erik has ignited a passion in me that reveals how little passion remains in my life. Only the shining light of my children keep the embers from dying. Lisa is now in college, but her much younger sister Talia is still helpless and fragile. I would be lost without her. She is my motivation, which keeps me on schedule. She gives me a reason to get up in the morning. If it is possible to live for another person, I live for her. The knowledge that I am only a couple hours away from rocking her in my arms makes me smile. I miss her intensely. Yet the closer I get to Minnesota, the more I miss Erik. And I wonder what is left for me there. It's never occurred to me to move from Hibbing. I love Minnesota, except for the winters. I love the friendly people, the beautiful harbor of Duluth, and my family. But suddenly, Minnesota feels like the loneliest place in the world. I am returning to a house with a million memories. Most of them are good, others are extremely painful. How long can I bear to live in the place that Chuck and I called home? There is a whole world outside Minnesota where a person can raise a family. I have a brother, Sean, in Georgia. I adore Sean. Out of all my family, Sean and I have the most fun together. We are always teasing each other. I'd enjoy the comfort of living by Sean. I could even fly down to Georgia and have a look. Suddenly, a door opens inside me, and the possibilities flood in. When I land in Minneapolis, I am less depressed and even a little excited. I lift Talia into my arms and squeeze her to me. It's amazing how much she looks like Chuck. I promise myself that she will know all about her father. She giggles joyfully as I baby talk to her. I hug her tightly. I've missed her so. It looks like somebody had a good time, my mom says. I don't know what you're talking about, I say, rubbing my nose to Talia like two Eskimos. My mom laughs. I've been around too long, and I know you too well. You're glowing. I just hope you know what you're doing. Of course I do, I say, no longer sure of myself. She eyes me knowingly, and then her smile widens when Talia bursts into a fit of giggles. I'm tickling her. One thing's for sure, she says. Somebody sure missed you. That night, I put Talia into bed with me and snuggle her gently. I fall asleep while listening to the beat of her little heart and manage to forget about the problems and pains in my world. It's good to be home. My athletic club is a wonderful distraction for me. I have a great staff, but I worry when I am away. Plus, I am dealing with so many lawyers. 1.5 years after Chuck's death, and I'm still dealing with legal issues. It's amazing how people will take advantage of one's death. Where were these people when Chuck was alive? Erik calls on Monday afternoon while I'm on the phone with one of my attorneys. I am always so excited when Erik calls. His calls take priority over everything else. He can only call for a brief 15 minutes, and then the Terminator terminates us. Erik asked about my flight back home. It was only a half Xanax flight. That's pretty good, he laughs. Erik relates to my humor in a way most men do not. He seems to know when to take me seriously and when to play along. How's everything else going? He asked. Lawyers are driving me crazy. It's a short drive, but it's hard to complain when I'm talking to you. Oh, wonderful. Whenever you're thinking your life can't get worse, just think of me. They should have a poster of me in therapy rooms to cheer up people who are really depressed. Hey, but at least I'm thinking about you. True. We chat for a few more minutes. Then I say, listen, Renee really liked Northern California. She wants to come back out. I was thinking I might tag along. Really? Renee wants to come back out? That's amazing. And what a terrific friend you are, not to let her come out by herself. Yes, it is pretty sweet of me. Wait a minute, he says, with over the top enthusiasm. It just occurred to me. Since you'll happen to be in the area, maybe you could pop in to see me. Wow, that's spooky. It's like you're reading my mind. I should send Renee some thank you flowers. First, let me tell her she's coming. Of course, he says, not missing a beat. First things first. Wheels are spinning in my head. Once the seed of leaving Minnesota was planted, the idea has seeped into my every waking moment. My heart whispers about the adventures of Northern California. My mind ministers about the family I have in Georgia. I ask my higher self for wisdom to guide me. I decide to fly out to Sacramento and tour the city for schools, daycare, and safe communities. In the end, it's all about providing a safe, happy home for Talia, no matter where I live. Then I will fly to Georgia and do the same. In short order, I drag Renee out to California with me early Friday morning. I get up to visit Erik while driving on the long prison road. I ask myself, what are you doing? A part of me wonders if I should turn around and never look back again. Just how close am I willing to get to him? The truth is that I no longer know. I watch the gladed meadows along the prison road. They have transformed into rich, crisp green blankets on the hillside. Brilliant rays of sunlight spill from behind white clouds. The valley is still dripping from recent rainfall. I wish the world would stay this vivid and beautiful. I wish the wonder was not merely a mask for Earth's cold, dry depths, so much like the reaches of human suffering. My soul yearns for a break in the storm, peace. Erik seems like he might be the one to help me find it. His love may well be healing a deeply wounded part of me. But I can't help but wonder if the very friendship with him that so excites me will end up causing me far more pain. The coming visit will be a telling story. Today I will tell Erik that I'm thinking about leaving Minnesota. The lines at the processing counter slow to a crawl this morning. Within half an hour, I'm next in line at the glass counter. An older woman is in front of me. She has thick gray hair, almost white, wrapped neatly in a bun. Her body is small, fragile. She dresses as if for church. She spoke with me briefly while waiting in line, shining her chocolate eyes on me, the same soft color as her skin. Something is wrong. Her voice falters. What do you mean my son isn't here? It's a different guard behind the counter. He pushes her pass back to her. He was transferred. Transferred? To what prison? Ma'am, I can't tell you that. Please step aside. There are people behind you. She holds her ground. I have a right to know. No, you don't. He's not here. You can't visit. Step aside. Not until I know what happened to him. I don't know what has happened to him. His file went with him. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. Step aside now, or I will have you escorted from the premises. Her body starts to tremble. She grabs hold of the counter. Please, I've come a long way. The guard is agitated. No matter how far you've come, I still can't help you. Your son isn't here, and now you're holding up the line. His voice actually pitched higher. My face flushes. I feel like stepping in to help, but I know better. Instead, my body stiffens, rigid like stone. The woman wipes tears from her cheeks. She turns and peers up at me with bloodshot eyes. Then her gaze falls to the floor. The woman steps from the line, stops a few feet away, and stares listlessly at the floor. I watch her for a moment. Then I step forward and push my pass towards the guard behind the counter. I feel sick, like I have just betrayed this woman. Another guard approaches her. Ma'am, I need you to step outside with me. The guard behind the counter accepts my pass. Next, he yells. On the bus ride to visiting, I keep assuring myself there was nothing I could have done. Still, I realize how unsophisticated I am when it comes to prison affairs. No matter how much I had wanted to help,
I didn't know where to direct her or how to get the answer she needed, and I wondered how far she had traveled to see him, whether she would be able to make another trip to his new home, and whether he knew she would be visiting the wrong prison that morning. The memory of her haunted look, her fear, her helplessness, lingers in my mind. It dawns on me that the guards don't have to be nice. This isn't customer service. Why do they care if we don't return? Some are kind because it pleases them to be. They are decent people. Others seem easily frustrated. They direct the crowds of visitors about with harsh orders, as if we are a nuisance. It makes visiting the prison a pride swallowing experience. I want to scream. We're respected members of society. What gives you the right to treat us this way? When was it that our culture decided that visiting a prisoner was an act or a badge of moral impurity? Why is it okay to treat the family of prisoners with disrespect? Erik is not at the bottom of the steps when I arrive. He's nowhere to be seen. I'm assigned a table at the back, near the walls of the windows. The room is crowded and pulsing with energy. Erik's cellmate Brian and his girlfriend Becky walk over and say hello. 5 minutes later, Erik hurries through the door behind the front desk. He hops down the steps, turns in his ID card, and rushes over to me. Menendez, the red-haired officer bellows, slow down. Erik whirls around, momentum still carrying him backwards, and says, sorry. He's heading directly for an empty chair. He doesn't see it. Oh no, I want to yell. He crashes into the chair and tumbles to the floor. Oh, how embarrassing. He hops up, dusts himself, and gives a quick thumbs up to the now scowling guard, and all but skips over to me. My hands cover my face. I'm laughing. He takes my hand and tries to pull me from the chair. I shake my head no. Are you laughing at me? He says. Yes, you're so accident prone. I give in to him and he lifts me into his arms. He hugs me tightly and swings me around like a dancer. My feet don't touch the floor. Then I push away from him, cross my arms, and throw him my best hard stare. Why were you late? There was an incident on the yard. It was just a fight. Nobody was stabbed though. That's horrible. Dismay is on my face. Was anyone hurt? Not badly. Well, I'll forgive you this time. He bows at the waist. I am blessed by your mercy, he says with a smile. He's goofy like that. It's the second time he's bowed to me. I think I like it, I tell him. Okay, somebody needs to take a ride up to Moose Lake. He holds out my chair. Moose Lake? It's what some people in Minnesota call the nut farm. So you're not used to men bowing to you? Men stopped doing that hundreds of years ago. Not all men, not men visiting a woman as beautiful as you. Why is it men think obvious flattery will work on a woman? Probably because it does, I point behind him. Is that a moose behind you? He actually turns and looks. I resist the temptation to ad-lib a moose sound. We settle in and time breezes by while we update each other on recent events. Then we heat food in the microwave, and I notice for the first time that despite Erik's size, he eats like a bird. He does this weird thing with his food. He picks through and examines it before he even considers taking a bite. Then he removes anything that looks or smells suspicious. I'm kind of a picky eater, he comments. You're kidding. By the time you finish dissecting that burrito, there won't be anything left to put in your mouth. While we eat, I decide to break the news. I take a deep breath, then struggle to find the words. What? Erik asks. I've decided to leave Minnesota. His eyes widen. Really? Just like that? I've been giving it a lot of thought. I think it's time. There are too many painful memories for me there right now. Where will you move? That's what I'm trying to decide. Possibly Georgia. My brother Sean lives there. I watch his eyes. And possibly here, to Sacramento. I didn't need to study him that closely. His mouth falls open. Are you serious? Wow, this is huge news. You're breaking this to me over a burrito? Erik, I haven't made... He interrupts me. I'm not sure he even heard me. He's still dazed. Georgia or Sacramento? It's not even a close call. You're not seriously considering moving to Georgia, are you?
It's a possibility. He put down his plastic fork. Okay, obviously this is a big decision. If you're really up in the air about it, then you need to take your time. Weigh all your options. Where do you want to move? What does your heart tell you? Ha, my heart couldn't reason its way out of a box. Honestly, I haven't yet made up my mind. I just want to do what's best, and I value your opinion. Am I the reason you're considering Sacramento? My, don't you think highly of yourself? He smiles, but only slightly. Seriously, I say. I want your honest opinion. My honest opinion or my selfish opinion? Both. My honest opinion is I want what's best for you. My selfish opinion is to insist that Georgia is way too far away from me. That's no help. I can't move to Sacramento just because of our friendship. If you weren't intent on moving, I'd agree. But if you are going to move, then Sacramento offers you just as much as Georgia. The truth is, I want you to want to move here, not for me, but for yourself. I know your brother is in Georgia, and it's a difficult decision. Well, we have to think about this a lot more. He takes my hand. Tammy, I want what's best for you, but I won't lie to you. I want to be a part of what's best for you. I want to know you better. I feel an almost spiritual pull towards you. It may sound crazy, but there's something about you. He pauses, looks down at the fingers on my hand, then slowly lifts his gaze back up to mine. Tammy, it's not fair to ask my advice. I'll do my best, but it's no secret. You must already know by the way I act around you. My pulse is suddenly racing. What? I'm falling in love with you. It's so obvious to me. Can't you see the way I am around you? High strung and falling over chairs? No, yes. I mean, how I feel about you is far more than just heart love. It's like a soul attraction to you. I don't know how else to explain it. Do I sound completely ridiculous? Pretty much. Then I smile. No, you don't sound ridiculous. I feel a strong pull to you too. It's an awkward, sweet moment. Why does life force us into corners? For the first time, I realized just how serious Erik is about our relationship. Superficial attraction and wanting to kiss me is one thing. He's a man, and men are demonstrative in that way. I want to know what lay beneath. Now I know. Soul attraction. The shocking part is I think he really means it. Of course, it would be easy to look critically at our relationship and dismiss it. I am still heartbroken from tragedy that unfolded in my home. And Erik, well, if Erik wasn't broken from the horrors of his upbringing, then he may be broken by prison. It would be easy to conclude that we are together because we both prize companionship above everything else at this point in our life. In that respect, we are a perfect psychological match. But that assessment is too superficial. It disregards years of friendship and the momentum it's been gaining. This attraction has bloomed from a long chain of letters over many years, and even if we do have a mutual need for understanding, what I see in Erik is something very real, something I had idealized all my life, but wasn't sure actually existed. A friend who is deeply compassionate, brutally honest, and focused on more than himself. For someone who has so much bad said about him, Erik sees the best in the world. If there is anything I love about him, it is that fact. Suddenly, I'm faced with the question, how much do I like this guy? He's holding my hand and watching me. The light reflects in the calm sea of his eyes. He looks peaceful and a little sad. Although he wants me to move out here, I sense his decency won't allow him to press me. I honestly believe he wants me to be happy. Knowing that makes me smile inside. He's winning points without saying a word. Our visiting is over too soon. I would never have believed that 6 hours could pass in minutes. We have grown so close, almost intimate, and it makes leaving painful. Our friendship is evolving so fast. Am I falling for him? The thought plays in my mind and alarms me because it seems so easily answered. He wraps his arms around me. He still smells nice. I sigh against him. Reluctantly, I pull away. Goodbye, I say, more confused than ever. My right hand is still in his. I turn to walk away. Our arms stretch out like a rope connecting us. Abruptly, he tugs on my arm and reels me towards him. I spin. The room blurs. My chest meets his. His right arm holds me. His hand cups my neck. My heart is pounding. There, amid a flurry of people, he lowers his lips to mine and kisses me, softly, passionately. It's a long flight to Georgia. I have a smile on my face the whole trip. I think I've officially lost my mind. Oh, sure, friendship, without the entanglements of romance. I think that's what I said. I did believe it. I still do. I mean, where could this possibly lead? Erik can only be a close friend. It's just that when I'm with him, I keep forgetting things, like not to kiss him. That was simply crazy. My mind spins on for a while, remembering the kiss, until I begin to wonder whether it's possible to have a kissing friend. Sure it is, I convince myself. Why can't there be? After all, I've pretty much just created one. Renee is still in shock about the news. She tries to keep her voice down. I can't believe you kissed him. He kissed me. I'm unable to keep a smile from my face. As if you weren't begging for it. Renee! She rolls her eyes. I'm going to have you committed. I simply felt sorry for the guy. Right, look at you. You're glowing like a little ball of sunshine. I wish I had my sunglasses. Renee never fails to hide her opinion. She turns in her seat and eyes me. So you might as well tell me. Was it a good kiss? I grin and roll my head towards the window. Sorry, I don't kiss and tell. Sean is there to meet me at the airport in Georgia. He gives me a great big bear hug. Sean is a rugged, handsome, affectionate man. I'm his sis and he loves me dearly. His wife, Julie, is like the doll Barbie come to life. She is also as sweet as a doll and like a sister to me. Her intelligent eyes notice a change in me. You seem happy, she comments. I smile with a shy grin. Have fun in California. It is the Golden State. Sean is aglow with the possibility of me living in Georgia. You'll love it here, he proclaims. And almost to my vast disappointment, I do. Georgia has a relaxed, easy style. People are unhurried and pleasantly friendly. Housing is relatively inexpensive. And there is a perfect little French school named Creme de la Creme. I can envision Talia attending. Julie is a sweet friend, and it would be nice to live beside Sean. In fact, the only thing Georgia is missing is a certain prisoner in California. I spent a few days reminiscing with Sean and Julie, exploring Georgia, and at night calling home to Talia. When I leave Georgia, I have a sinking feeling that this is probably the best place for me. The realization is enough to make me depressed. Despite asking every night, my soul has remained stubbornly quiet. My blooming attraction to Erik is now a full time battle within me. I suspect I'm so afraid of repeating a relationship like the one I had with Chuck that my heart is angling for the opposite experience. After all, which is really worse? The gaping disparity between the public and private life of men like Chuck and my father, or the very public sin of a man who offers honesty and sincerity? I know, find an honest guy who's not in prison. I do get it. So, after a lot of soul searching, I've settled on the most sensible and painful thing to do: move to Georgia. I'm not surprised by my decision. I think it was Erik's wonderful kiss that pushed me to it. This is my way of running away from him. My heart, it seems, can no longer be trusted. Of course, it's not only Erik I'm running away from in moving to Georgia. The ghost of Chuck still lingers in every room of my house, on every street, in everyone's eyes. Time has been slow to heal. A year and a half can seem like an eternity, and almost like yesterday. So long as I remain in that house, I will be like a phantom walking among the debris, no longer sure what was truth and what was a lie. I'm still trying to figure out whether it even mattered anymore. Somehow, someway, I must pick up the pieces, shed this comforting layer of self pity, move on, and mold a new life somewhere else. Georgia is a fine place, far, far away. Sitting by the window on my homebound flight for Minnesota, the America's heartland passes beneath me like a miniature children's toy set. I think about how small and insignificant my problems are, and how overwhelming. It's so easy to become absorbed by pain when you do nothing but dwell on it for a couple of hours. I take out a pen and paper and lower the food tray in front of me. Wiping tears from my eyes, I begin a heart wrenching letter to Erik. I can only hope he understands. I have no way to know that by the time he receives my letter, his own world will have been rocked by violence.